If we had had this conversation a year ago, probably would have gone a little bit differently. RG3, the offensive rookie of the year. How has it changed in your mind, Damien? I mean, who's gotten the better of this thing at this point?
Well, we're still waiting to see how all the players pan out. But you look at the bevy of draft picks, obviously they added a lot of solid additions, especially on the defensive side of the football. But I think this whole trade is going to be dependent on Sam Bradford, to really be honest with you, because the one thing that the Rams, if they're going to take the next step in trying to be really relevant in the NFC West, they're going to need good quarterback play. They've done, the Rams have done a good job, whether in free agency or the draft, of addressing the offensive line. They've done a good job on the defensive side of the football. But Sam Bradford is going to be the guy, I think, that's going to put a stamp on this whole trade, because we all know you need a quarterback to really take your organization to the next level. So he's going to be a key component to this whole thing.
Yeah, questions about him. Are there legitimate questions about RG3 as a franchise quarterback in this league?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a legitimate question. I think he's going to be a franchise quarterback in this league as time goes on. But I guess when I look at this picture, the Rams added a ton of depth on both sides of the ball, especially defensively, like you just said. But when you look at the other side of the fence, you look at the Redskins. They went to the playoffs the first year with RG3. He ended up having an ACL tear. And then they come out this year, and they're 3-13 this past year, and they went 3-13. Kyle Shanahan loses his job. Head coach Mike Shanahan loses his job over the situation. So right now, if you're looking at both organizations, the Rams have absolutely won out because they've added so much depth.
I think really there's a lot yet to be determined here on both sides of the ball. I mean, RG3 comes out, has a great rookie year. Now, last year, a lot of the things that went wrong for him, a lot of it was his fault, understandably, but also his supporting cast. I mean, the offensive line was terrible. They didn't have a lot of weapons at wide receiver other than Pierre Garçon. And on defense, I mean, really, outside of maybe Arakpo and Kerrigan and London Fletcher, what else can you really speak to on that defense? Now, the Rams, on the other hand, it's great to have all these picks, and they have really added some individual pieces. But really what this is going to be judged by for the Rams in particular, one, is how does Sam Bradford play, but two, are they able to make up ground on the rest of the teams in that division, namely Seattle and San Francisco? Because really, that's all that really matters right now. It doesn't matter. The individual pieces don't really matter here. Sure. They need to start contending in that division. This is an important year for that entire management team in St. Louis.
Do you think if we asked the Redskins field right now, would you, knowing what you know now, would you go back and basically hold on to your picks and not take RG3? What do you think they do?
Well, I think they'd have to make the trade once again because, as we know, despite the fact that a defensive-oriented team won the most recent Super Bowl, this is still a quarterback-driven league. And we've seen the past two drafts haven't offered as sure of a thing in terms of a franchise quarterback as the 2012 draft did, with, of course, Robert Griffin III and Andrew Luck. So I think they would pull the trigger once again.
Yeah, but there's a difference between Andrew Luck and RG3 as far as franchise, right?
No doubt about it. There's absolutely, Andrew Luck, although he's had some interception issues and has had some decision-making issues at times, been to the playoffs twice, and he's the kind of quarterback that can clearly carry his team on his shoulders. Robert Griffin III, I think the big question about his development is the fact that you have to protect him. You can't let him be a reckless, abandoned type runner as he was in 2012. But can he develop into an effective enough pocket passer, both in the intermediate and vertical passing game, to operate from the pocket and be the kind of quarterback that can throw the football 30 or 35 times a game?